Good. So let's talk about constructions. Let me just run through what you will need in order to do these constructions properly. First of all, you'll need a ruler. You will need a compass to draw circles and so on. You will need a pencil to draw your lines. And of course, you will also need a sharpener to keep your point nice and pointy. I would recommend using a regular pencil like this here, what they call a lead or graphite pencil. The mechanical pencil you could use that as well, but sometimes even the point of the finest tips, depending on how you hold the angle you hold your pencil to write and so on, sometimes it still doesn't stay as pointy, right? So if you use a regular pencil like this, you could always sharpen it a little bit, right? Give it a run in your sharpener itself, right, to keep it nice and sharp. Okay. You would also need an eraser, right? A proper eraser to keep your drawings neat, right? Also if you make a mistake and you want to change anything, you want to be able to remove it properly, right? And obviously as well, you'll need paper, right? Of course, do this in your exercise books so that everything will be in one place and it doesn't get lost and so on, right? Now, we will start off with the easiest angle to construct or replicate precisely, and that is the 60-degree angle, right? So we are going to do this construction here using only a compass and straight edge. That is a pair of compasses and a ruler, right? Obviously a pencil as well to draw the lines. Good. Now, just a little quick idea of what the construction is based on, right? It's based on the properties of an equilateral triangle, right? So if you have an equilateral triangle, just sketch one here very quickly, right? Of course, all three sides are the same length, right? So to make sure that we are constructing a triangle where all three sides are the same length, we will use our compass to ensure that. So we'll adjust our compass to any size that will kind of fit our page. It can't be too small. You want to make your drawings as large as possible, because the larger you draw it, is the more accurate it will be, right? So but usually for most of our drawings, we'll be using roughly 5 to 8 centimeters radius on this compass itself here. Of course, the compass is used to draw circles, right? So you pivot it like that, and you're able to draw pretty accurate circles and so on using this piece of equipment, right? So as I was saying, the equilateral triangle, we will compensate for all the sides being equal by using our compass in a fixed adjustment, right? Now the compasses you get in a geometry pan, it doesn't have this little part, this little wheel in the middle here, right? The thumb screw. The purpose of this, of course, is to make the adjustment itself, right? Good. And the other important thing with this little wheel thingy in the middle here is that it sort of locks the compass in place, right? Now, if you have a regular compass, the one that is found in a standard geometry pan, there will be a screw up at the top, right? Make sure that screw is nice and tight, okay? You don't want, most importantly, you don't want while you are drawing a circle. And sometimes you have to apply a bit of force on it and so on and so on. You have to adjust the position of it, the angle of it while you are drawing. You don't want, when you are manipulating this here, for it to be, changing radius. Your circles wouldn't be very circular, right? So you don't have to use one specifically like this, okay? But make sure if you are using a regular one with the screw at the top, make sure the screw is nice and tight, right? Not so tight that you can't adjust it accurately, right? But of course you don't want it, as I said, shifting while you are trying to draw your circles, right? Good. So we will adjust our compass, open it to any distance that wouldn't be too large for your page, right? So basically you want to open it, if you have your notebook, right? You want to open it to as big as possible, but don't exceed half of the width of your page. So you'll be using your books in portrait mode like this here. So you want to make sure the compass is open large, but don't make it bigger than half of the width of your page, right? Because if you try to draw a circle or an arc, it will then be bigger than the page itself, right? So you don't want that to be happening. So as large as possible, I would say anywhere between 5 and 8 centimeters is fine, right? Good. So, right. So we were talking about the equilateral triangle, and the critical thing, of course, with the equilateral triangle is the internal angles here are all equal and therefore 60 degrees each, right? This is something you all should know, right? So we are basically going to construct an equilateral triangle, right? We are not going to draw the entire triangle. We are just interested in one of the angles alone. If we are able to replicate this equilateral triangle, we will then have produced a 60-degree angle there, okay? So that's what we want to do. So you will start off here. First of all, you use a blank page, right? A new page in your exercise book. You need to start with a baseline on which to work, right? Now this is a regular printer paper I'm using here. I'm not using a book. And I recommend that you all use a book, of course. Do not use the lines in your book as such, right? So when before you begin any construction, right, you draw a line, a baseline with which to work there. So you put your ruler and you draw your line like that, all right? So even if your book has lines, I want you all to draw a line yourself with your pencil across the page, and you are doing your construction from this line. This is like your reference line, right? Now, of course, in an exercise book, you have those lines already pre-printed. Sometimes they are quite dark, and when you draw with a pencil on it, it doesn't come out, right? So if you have your pre-ruled lines on your book itself, right? So these are your pre-ruled lines. I want you to take your ruler and you draw your own line in between there, right? The reason is that I want to see every aspect of the construction you do. So do not use one of the pre-ruled lines from your book itself, right? Start with your own baseline, good, in between the ruled lines of your exercise book, okay? So I need to see it. Sometimes you may draw it, and you know, because you draw it over a line that is pre-printed, you know, you don't always see it too clearly, right? Another thing is this, well, probably should have said this before, you want to leave a lot of space, as much as possible, above the line that you draw, right? We are in this construction, we are not going to use the space that is below the line. So we are only really going to use the space above the line, okay? So make sure you have the same width of your page. Make sure you have that same space available there, right? It's not that we are going to draw it, you know, to occupy all of that space, but you do not want to get into a situation where you are doing a drawing, not only this drawing, but the future drawings we are going to learn to do. You don't want to, you know, get to a certain stage in a drawing and then realize, oh no, I don't have enough space on this page to do my construction, right? So start off on a fresh page, leave enough available space for yourself to work with, right? So we have our baseline there. So what I'm going to do, the equilateral triangle has 3 vertices. I'm just going to mark off one vertex to begin with. Now where I'm marking that off, you could do it either on the left or on the right side of this line. Not all the way to the end, but you want to come a little distance this way here, and I'm just going to put a little stroke there, and that indicates there my starting point. I could do it here, I could do it over here as well, right? So you could do it on the left, on the right, whichever is your preference, right? So what I'm going to do, that is going to be one of the vertices of my equilateral triangle. So I'm going to take my compass, it's opened to a distance between 5 and 8 centimeters, less than half of the width of the page. But actually, you know, for this particular construction, you could actually open it really wider, because where we are going to do the construction is starting from this point over here, over on the right side of the page. So we are basically going to do our equilateral triangle in this space here, right? That space above the line. So you can actually open it really, really wide here, right? Now remember I said, the bigger you do it, right, is the more accurate your drawing will be, right? So I'm going to take the point of my compass. I'm going to take the point of my compass right? Of course, this is the pencil side of it here. So I'm going to take the point of the compass and I'm going to put it in on that point that I just made there, right? So you make sure you are putting the point of the compass, that steel point, on the intersection of those two lines, right? So you are making sure you are putting it on the point where those two lines meet, right? The baseline you drew and that little stroke you did there to indicate your starting point, right? So I have it there on my line, and what I'm going to do, and you could do this in one sweep. I'm going to draw an arc, right? I'm not going to draw an entire circle. I'm going to draw an arc, right? So this arc here, I'm going to start up there and I'm just going to sweep it down and make sure I go past my baseline like that, right? So you construct that first arc there, okay? Now, because now this compass is set at a specific radius, with a specific distance between these 2 points here, starting from that point where I had put the steel tip of the compass, if I go in a straight line from that point to anywhere on that portion of a circle I drew there, on that arc of a circle I drew there, it is going to be this same distance always, right? So from that point down there to anywhere on this circle in a straight line is a fixed distance. That by nature is what a circle is about, right? By definition, it has to be the same distance from there. That's the center of this circular arc. This is the center of the curvature of that circular arc, or the center of the circle for which this arc is a portion of that circle, right? So I know now I have a fixed distance all the way around. So what I have actually completed here is the base of my equilateral triangle, because from the point I drew over here to this point here, where the arc intersected the baseline, that there is the base of my equilateral triangle, right? So I have a portion of the equilateral triangle already. So I'm keeping the same distance here, right? Now, of course, on my compass, I'm able to fix and secure the distance there, right? Before you go to do this next step, you just want to make sure that it still has the same measurement, right? So it seems as if it still has the same measurement on there. This one wouldn't adjust or anything like that. The only way to adjust it is to adjust the wheel, right? Even if I pull or tug on this or whatever, it isn't going to change it, right? But anyway, you need to just double check you have the same distance on your compass before you do this next step. So this is one vertex of the base of the equilateral triangle. This is the other vertex over there. So what I'm going to do, this other vertex that I constructed, I'm going to put the point of the compass on that new vertex across there on the right hand side. Okay, right? So of course what should happen is that the other point of the compass now should be, of course, passing through that first point I started with there. So I just double check to make sure it's the same thing. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to make another arc. Now I do not need to make this arc I'm going to draw, I do not need to make it large, right? But what I need to do is I am just going to create the third vertex of my equilateral triangle, right? And to do that now, I'm just going to cut an arc or draw an arc to cut the original arc that I just drew. So what I have there now is I have a fixed distance. So from this point, the first point I started with, to the second point is that distance. And then from this second point to that there is the same distance, right? And also, of course, as I was mentioning before, that from here to any point on that circle is also this distance there. So I have the three distances there are all the same. So same distance there, and then same distance here. So these are the vertices of an equilateral triangle. So this is my third vertex over there. So what I could do is I could label the points, but it's not that important. But I am going to label those points here. So I'll call this A. I could call this point over here B, and then I will call that point over there C. Good. Now, so for me now I'm done with the compass. I'm going to go to my ruler now. Take my ruler, and I'm going to draw the other line that encloses a 60-degree angle, and I'm going to start from the point A, right? So I place my ruler at the point A, right? And then C, well, the ruler is not really going through those points. So of course, it depends on how sharp your pencil point is, right? So of course, you need to place the ruler in such a way. The important thing is are going to draw a line through those points. Okay, I'm going to draw a line through those points. So you don't put the ruler on the points, because when you go with the pencil afterwards, it may be displaced away from the points a little bit, right? So of course, you have to have a sharp pencil to do this. So let me just sharp, right? Good. So I align it so that I could draw a line through those 2 points, right? So I'm going to draw it. I'm not starting at the point A. If you observe, I'm going a little bit below the point A, and I'm going to draw my straight line here now, right? So this straight line I just drew is going through the point A, and it is going through that point C there. So that is one of the sides there. AC is one of the sides of the equilateral triangle. AB is another side of the equilateral triangle. I'm not going to draw BC, because the aim is not really to draw an equilateral, but to draw a 60-degree angle here. So this here, therefore, has to be 60 degrees, right? If you have your protractor, you could take your protractor and place it on the point A and verify that it is indeed 60 degrees, right? So that is how you construct a 60-degree angle, right? Let me just run through it very quickly again on this side here. Although you could look at the video a second time, of course. I'm going to run through this one a little quicker. Baseline, right? Mark off 1 point there. Okay, let me do it on the right-hand side. Some people, if left-hand or right-hand, I might prefer it on different sides. So I'm going to do it over here. So I start off, I have my starting point there. I'm going to open my compass. I could put any measurement I want on my compass. Once I keep that measurement fixed throughout the entire construction, I'm safe, right? So I have a starting point there. I have my compass adjusted. I'm going to place it on that point, and I'm going to draw a big arc. I have to go through this line here. So you notice I start off a little bit below, and I draw it through there, and then going up like that. Right? I don't have to draw an entire circle. I'm just going to draw that there. Okay? Then I have created another point over here, right? Over on this side here. So I'm going to put the steel tip of the compass on that new point there now, and I'm just going to intersect that arc up there. Fixed distance for all of for both of these arcs here. Good. So I have my vertices there now. So to complete my 60-degree angle now, I'm just going to draw a line from the point, I'm doing it from this point here, through that intersection of 2 arcs here. So from the first point you started with, through the intersection of the 2 arcs, you draw a straight line, and that will be 60 degrees you have there, right? Right, remember, place your ruler so to compensate for the for the thickness of your pencil line and whatever it is, right? So you can't put it on the point itself. So I'm going to go here. I'm going to start off a little bit beyond the point, going through like that, right? A couple small things I will look out for, right? So this is 60 degrees here. Everything is fine. No, I could have drawn a straight line over here as well, over here. And that would have been 60 degrees there as well, right? But I'm drawing it about this point. Now, you see here, my construction now, I have clear intersection of the 2 arcs there. So the arcs are drawn big enough so that there's a clear intersection. So I'm not, for example, I'm not doing my construction in such a way, right? That I know I want to intersect the 2 arcs, right? So, I don't just draw it and stop there, right? That's kind of, that's not the way to do it. To show the intersection, you have to draw an actual arc or curves intersecting or straight lines intersecting like that, right? So it has to be, basically like a clear X for you to indicate where that point is there. And also too, for this line, this point down here, I had the arc going through the line on both sides of the line. The arc continued, so I didn't just start here and drew my arc going up there. So you have to show clear intersection when you want to indicate a point, right? Down here as well, when I was starting this line, these are some minor points. I don't just put my pencil point here and draw going up like that. I start a little bit beyond it and I draw it through the point, through the intersection of the arcs is there. So this is what I'm going to be looking out for when I inspect your drawings and so on. I want to see clear intersection of arcs and lines and so on and so on. A clear indication of the angle that you would have constructed as well. You put this little archy thing here to indicate, okay, well, that is the angle I'm displaying and the measurement of the angle placed inside there as well. So that there is an accurate 60-degree angle without a doubt.